Villainous was originally a series of animated YouTube shorts following an organization designed specifically to help the villains of the world and fight the heroes for them. The organization is run by Black Hat, a mysterious man with demonic powers, with his underling Flug, a scientist who designs the tech they give to various villains. On their team, they also have a cute blue bear named 505 and a crazy girl named Dementia. Originally, the series focused on gags around their headquarters, with technology often being displayed but going horribly wrong. From here, it got a second series of shorts where they weighed in on the villains of existing Cartoon Network shows, as Villainous was planned to join the Cartoon Network lineup. Recently, the first season was released in English on HBO Max, now just called Max, and the story has become something a little bit bigger. The first episode introduces the structure of actual villains coming in for Black Hat's help, and the gang having to give them tech or perform outrageous missions to help them. The first villain we meet is Penumbra, who is being bullied and beaten by a Chad superhero named Sunblast. She sees an ad for Black Hat's business and gets their help capturing Sunblast. This, it's revealed, is actually done so that Penumbra can use Sunblast's powers to fix her condition, which of course is tied to her dark powers. This set up the basic structure for the next 5 episodes, introducing us to new heroes and villains. However, in addition to the aforementioned shorts, there was other bonus material that helps reframe the current plot in a very different light. The most important of these were a series of journal entries and audio recordings by a man named Aldo, which were found on special websites using secret passwords, codes, and ciphers, included throughout the Villainous shorts and in promotional materials. These journal entries and audio recordings tell the story of the slow descent into insanity for this character named Aldo. Some of his journal entries say that it is 2018, but the audio message seems to say that he's in 2015, leading to confusion of whether or not Aldo may be one of the characters in the show after completing more of their transformation into a member of the Black Hat organization. Aldo seemed to be a normal man at first, but after being invited to secret meetings of the Black Hat organization, he started to change. He became pretty obsessed with the Black Hats and the strange hierarchy of power signified by what kind of hat they wore, with the trademark Villainous tall top hat being the most important of them all. While he tried to escape, Aldo eventually went mad and was involved in a ritual that made him a member of the Black Hats. The hats themselves seem to be part of the actual power and control of the organization, with those who wear them coming under a sort of hive mind control. I've seen some fans speculate that this is actually the story of Flug and how he came to work for Black Hat himself, and others have theorized that this is how Black Hat himself came to the organization, him being a normal man who had the power of the highest hat in the hierarchy forced upon him and the magics that come with it. Penumbra has a story not talked about in the show, but discussed in the various papers on the Black Hat website. Here it explains in various documents that she was once a scientist at Shibo Inc., where she was working on a technology that would stop harmful rays from melting glaciers. She was let go from the company for unknown reasons, and later accidentally caused an explosion at a science fair where her machine malfunctioned. This turned her into the version of her we see now, giving her the powers of the machine to block out light, but also giving her a pale and sickly appearance and sensitivity to that light. She has since tried blocking out the sun in several places, but this appears to be in strategic locations and times, almost as if she's continuing her work of trying to stop disasters from the sun's heat. In addition to her, many people surrounding the science fair also have this light sensitivity without any of the powers. It seems to me that Penumbra was always a hero trying to use science to save the world, and while people were affected by her mistakes, she still used her powers for good. But people keep mistaking her blacking out the sun as evil, and never giving her a chance to explain, as we see when Sunblast beats her up. In the end, she wants to use Sunblast's power not just for her, but also for the people affected by her mistakes, perhaps being able to cure them all. And this pattern continues into episode 2. Here we have a bunch of ghosts haunting a house, typically evil characters, but here they just don't want their home torn down. The real villain here is the man trying to tear it down, who Black Hat is hired to stop, not so the ghosts can be evil, but so that they don't lose their home. Episode 3 introduced us to an older woman who was villainish looking, but the job she brought for them to take down a hero was actually a trick to make them save her husband, who was once a great hero before a villain's mask took control of his body. She still signed a contract with Black Hat, but in the end, they helped save the day once again. Episode 4 gave us a villain who seems to actually have somewhat evil plans, a digital virus who wants to leak a finale of a TV series early, causing a catastrophe. But the supposed hero trying to stop him is a gun for hire that robs some of the people they are supposed to be working for under the guise of donating to charity. This was done by the supposed hero insisting that the person criticizing them sounded like a villain, and that really gets to the heart of what the series is. The heroes and villains are often just symbols of powers in general, with people rising up for doing good things, but other people with good intentions also being smacked down so that those already on top can maintain their popularity and power without threat. This pushes a lot of the characters who might otherwise be wholly good to be seen as evil, especially if they caused some other disaster, even accidentally. In addition to Penumbra, for instance, there was another Matador-themed villain in the Villainous web files who started as an animal rights activist but became viewed as a villain due to some of the tragic outcomes of his experiments. While Episode 5 had just the gang dealing with the buff versions of themselves brought on by one of Flug's experiments from back in the original shorts, the final episode of this batch focused on a superhero named Miss Heed, who is using her powers to control the villains she faces, but also controlling many heroes too, all under the power of her strange fumes that make people fall in love with her. This is used not to help others, but really to make herself famous, with her acting like a TikTok influencer. This hero, Miss Heed, is on a Justice League type team with Goldheart, who our very own Flugsy apparently was an arch nemesis to at one point. In flashes and photos, we see that Miss Heed was originally working for Black Hat, going to their school where Flugs went as well. Miss Heed only had the power to evaporate liquids, but with the right compounds, she can do things like make fumes that cause people to fall in love with her. She's not smart enough to do that on her own, and instead the power was something devised by Flugs that she stole while they were together at school, but Miss Heed would instead take it to try and be a superhero, wanting to get closer to her crush, Goldheart. Goldheart, Miss Heed claims, is working on a plan to put an end to supervillains everywhere, which may lead to some real bad people dying, but also may lead to the death of a bunch of mostly innocent people working on ways to save the world, or at the very least to just control it. Which begs the question, where does the Black Hat organization fit into all of this? The Black Hats are reminiscent of secret societies of conspiracy theory, complete with the different hats having different levels of authority within the group. Under the Grand Master, they work to help villains, but in return they don't get money, but rather the promise of help from these villains down the road. And even if they run away, like we saw at the end of Episode 3, Black Hat still has a contract they signed and likely can call on them anytime he wishes. Black Hat is shown to have clearly demonic powers and is very much a Lucifer-type figure, making deals with people to give them what they want, but also that they will be a tool in his bigger plan to conquer the world, it seems. Thus far, he does more good than bad, and it wouldn't surprise me if this is all building to Black Hat legitimately taking control of the world and making it a better place, making it so that heroes who happen to have power and popularity get to control the narrative, and instead the supposed villains of the world, such as Flugs, can use their knowledge and powers to make the world a better place, blocking out harmful sun rays to prevent global warming like Penumbra, or whatever else they can do. But until then, they have to keep making deals with all these people who have been slighted by the heroes, good and perhaps truly even bad ones, so some final conflict down the road has them on Black Hat's side. But what do you guys think? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, as well as what topics you'd like to see me cover here. For more backstory, I'll also include a link to Hailey's 2 previous videos breaking down the webisodes and the secret clues on their website. See you guys next time.